Welcome to the Friday edition of Juan's World. I'm going to continue what I started on Tuesday, which is talking about the passage of time. And last time I talked about calendars, different calendars that different cultures use. And I promised that I would also talk about wasting time, which is my topic for today. Something that I find very curious. I don't understand the concept of killing time. I find it a little bit brutal. And I don't know really how to waste time anymore, because I've got so many things I want to do. And I'm getting old. And if I don't do those things now, then I may never do them. Well, some things I don't care if I don't do them, but there are a lot of things that I do care a great deal about, so I don't like to waste time. I'm also a Presbyterian minister, which means that I am within the Calvinist tradition, the tradition of the Puritan work ethic. I don't subscribe to the full Calvinist doctrine, but I do at least have some degree of distaste for wasting time that could be used productively. Now, I want to talk about what productive work is, because it doesn't mean working at your job all the time. Sleeping is productive. It's not wasting time. So let's get into some fine-grained details here. I'm going to start off with a personal story, with a message, a parable if you like, except that this is a true story. I was about 17 or 18 years old. I was in the sixth form in England, studying for my A-level exams. And a light engineering firm in Slough Trading Estate, which is now famous because of the English version of The Office. This factory was looking for temporary employees. And they had a variety of jobs, which I performed. But the one that they most wanted done was what they called perpetual inventory. The stockroom, rather grey, faceless room with loads and loads of steel shelves with grey boxes lined up on them, each with a stock number, starting with, I think it was a 5-digit number, so it would be 00001. And the next one was 00002, all the way up to 99999. And supposedly the company did inventory all the time, when somebody wasn't doing other things in the stockroom, picking up parts to make one of the items that they produced. Then he would be doing inventory, which involved taking a blue card out of the box and checking the number that was on the box against the number of items in the box. See, what happened was, let's say there's a particular gear of a certain size and shape and what have you in the box, and that part is needed by different people periodically. Maybe each time they need 2 or 3 or whatever. Then the blue card had a table on it, and on the left-hand side was the date, and in the middle was the order number. If you're picking up an order, let's say it's order FC202, you put down FC202, and then you've taken 2 out, you put down in the next column 2, and then in the final column you subtract 2 from the number in the column before. So if there's 150 in the column before, then you write down 148, and so you go. So every time somebody takes gears out, they subtract from the total, and every time they put any back, which was not common, then they add them. So that theoretically, if you start off with 500 in the box, and everyone who takes 2, 3, 4, however many out, puts in the correct number and subtracts correctly, then at any point somebody doing inventory can go in and can look at the number on the card, and it should exactly match the number of parts in the box. But you know how things are. People forget to write that they've taken parts, or they put them back and forget to write down that they've put them back, or what have you, all kinds of things. So they had a system called perpetual inventory, which was supposed to go around the complete stock room from 0 to 99999 every 6 months, just doing, maybe 10 or 15 a day. And by doing it in a cycle like that, they would keep track, and if there were any substantial errors, they could be corrected. Like if, for example, a drawer was running short and it wasn't supposed to, a message could be sent to the office to order more, and so forth. And the trouble is that the perpetual inventory was something that nobody liked doing. None of the permanent employees in the stockroom liked doing it, and so they put it off. And so 6 months would go by and no inventory had been done, so they would hire the likes of me to come in and spend all day, every day for 2 or 3 weeks to do the inventory. Now, they paid very well, paid better than any other job I could have had for that limited period of time. Sometimes it was over the Easter break, which was 2 weeks. Sometimes it was over my summer break, which was more like 4 weeks, and I could earn a lot of money. I bought a stereo system the first time I worked there, and that was incredible because that was about 1968. Nobody had a stereo. In fact, most records were not even produced in stereo. So it was a great job to have, except it was so boring. I could manage like a little bit of enthusiasm for maybe half an hour in the morning, and that was about it. And then the rest of the time was just so tiresome. And I became a rabid clock watcher. There was a big clock in the stockroom, and I was always looking at it like, ah. And one day I was standing there, and I just mostly said to myself, not really to anybody else, because I didn't really talk to the other people that worked in the stockroom. It was maybe 3 o'clock, something like that. My finishing time was 5, and I remember I looked at the clock And I said, oh, I wish it was 5. And this older guy, probably younger than I am now, but certainly older, name was Alf, looked at me and he said, why are you wishing your life away? And at the time I just thought, daft old git, what does he know? But I've been thinking about what he said for years and years and years, and I realized that that question is spot on the money. I've got 2 hours to finishing time. Why am I going to just waste those 2 hours? Why do I just wish that they were cut from my life, that they didn't appear in my life and I just got to 5 o'clock? Why didn't I spend my time between 3 and 5, or for that matter between 8 and 5, doing productive things? Now, yes, I had to count these screws and gears and widgets and wobbles and things that I didn't even know what they were. And I could have done it in a much more productive way, in a way that was much more productive to me. I could have invented all kinds of games or logic problems, or who knows what. I could have exercised my brain in all kinds of ways, but I didn't. I just looked at it and I said, here's a drawer, it says 150. Yeah, that looks like 150. Now I'm going to go and have a cigarette in the toilet. and I was wasting my own time, and time is precious. Now, when you get to be my age, you realize that much more than you do when you're in your 20s or even your 30s, when you think, well, there's lots of time. Well, you can follow memes that suggest that you treat every day as if it's your last day, but we can't really do that. It's not really a reasonable fantasy, but we can follow Kipling. You remember in If, he talks about how, if you can keep your head, well, all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Right at the end, he says, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of work, then you'll be a man, my son, blah, blah, blah. No, but if you can, the minute is unrelenting. It's going to pass. It's going to pass whether you want it to or not. And you have the choice between using it to do something that benefits you, or you can throw it away. Well, you will remember that I don't give advice. So I'm not going to advise you not to waste life. But I am going to tell you how I spend my time, and I don't waste it. One of the things that irritates me more than most is waiting for somebody. And I'm kind of okay waiting for somebody if it means I'm waiting at home. Because when I'm at home, I've always got something to do. I'm always writing a book or an article or doing videos or writing blogs or something. So if I'm waiting at home and a person is supposed to arrive at 8 o'clock and they're not there, I just keep working, keep writing. I probably won't do my video because it'll be interrupted, but certainly do some writing. Or if I'm reading or doing research, I just continue to do that. No problem. Where it gets to be a problem is where I'm waiting for somebody at a restaurant or the equivalent at a coffee shop, and they say they're going to be at 8 o'clock and they're not. I can't go in and sit down and start my meal because I'm having the meal with them. I have to wait for them to arrive, and if they're late, I don't have the equipment that I need to do my writing, my laptop or whatever. So that can be really annoying because then I'm just standing there doing nothing. Well, I have ways around that too. I can still work on my writing in my head, and it's one of the things that I'm quite good at now when I go for a walk or ride my bicycle, which in itself is perfectly productive. I'm quite often thinking about the next chapter I'm writing in my book or something like that. So I've always got something in store that will keep me occupied so that I'm not just wasting time. And I just hate wasting time. And some of it is like a moral principle, and some of it is just personal. I just don't personally, I don't like doing nothing. I have set myself a policy which I have adhered to for decades, which is that I will work to my best capacity 6 days a week, but I won't do any work on Sundays. And that means I'm not going to pay bills or any other financial matters. I'm not going to write on my books or do research. I'm going to take a break. It's sort of my puritanical obedience. And I have to tell you that for me, doing no work for a whole day sometimes is a real trial. I have great difficulty not doing work. But I manage. I get on my bike and I go take photographs, or do things that are pleasurable, because the whole point about a day of rest, unlike certain kinds of Orthodox Jews or evangelical Christians, where they translate rest into like rabid study of scripture or prayer or those kinds of things, and avoiding everything that has even the remotest scent of work. Like can't light an electric light if you're Orthodox Jew. Can't cook. Jesus was a little softer than that. He said that the Sabbath was made for us. We weren't made to serve the Sabbath. Well, okay. But I still think that it is important to just get away from day-to-day stuff and do something pleasurable, enjoyable. And so you can probably guess that I don't find things outside of work particularly pleasurable because I like my work. I mean, my work is highly enjoyable to me, and shows that these things are relative. Like there are a lot of people who think that writing an essay or a book is a condemnation to purgatory. I love doing it. So giving it up for one day is more an act of creativity than anything else. So the reason that I hate inactivity that doesn't have any purpose it's just simply that it's not in my character. I find it boring. I can't imagine sitting and doing nothing. And I can't imagine just doing something to fill time. You know, that's a version of killing time. You can say it's filling time. You know, like play a record or watch a movie or something like that. I just can't do it. I mean, I do watch movies, I do listen to music, but I do it all within the context of the flow of the day. Not just to say, okay, I've now got 2 hours when I'm not doing anything, so I'll just kill it somehow. That to me, I mean, if we look upon a lifespan, then taking those hours, minutes, days, whatever, where you've been killing time, consider putting them all together. How much time have you spent killing time? Wouldn't you rather have that? Would you rather have all your time spent to the best of your ability, so that at the end of your life you can say, I have no regrets? Or will you say, oh, if I'd only used that time wisely, then I would not feel as if I have wasted so much of my life? Well, I'll probably continue along this vein in the future, but for now, tell your friends about the videos, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on Tuesday.